Hello, my name's Viv. I am from One Little Seed. I work as a Senior Marketing Manager, and today I am here with Rob, who is the VP of Asia Pacific for Scaled Agile. Welcome, Rob. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks very much for having me, Viv.
No problem. Do you mind telling us a little bit about Scaled Agile and what you do and the structure of the business?
Yeah, so Scaled Agile are the providers of SAFe, which is what's known as the world's leading system for business agility. So it's a change in the way of working, and what it does is brings business and technology together so they've got better alignment and they can deliver value more quickly to the organisation and customers, whether they be external or internal. So it's typically a change in the way of working. So we're moving from projects to products, treating IT solutions as products. So it leverages lean and agile practices in these new ways of working, and we provide an ecosystem of how to deliver that for organisations. So yeah,
Perfect.
That's it in a nutshell.
So Scaled Agile headquarters are based in the US, and you and I are working in the APAC market. So how would you describe some of the things that we do here from a localisation perspective?
Yeah, so SAFe is very English-centric. As a framework and a way of working, the assets and resources incorporate about 450,000 words, all produced natively in English. And so there's a lot of localisation that needs to be done to be able to get assets and resources from a marketing perspective into local language in markets like China, Japan, Korea. So they're the three core languages in APAC that we focus on outside English. And then of course, as you say, we've got the US time zone that we need to deal with, and then working in the APAC time zone. So often, as a team, we're collaborating in the very early hours here in Australia, and then sometimes late into the evening from an India perspective, which are typically 4.5 hours behind us here in Australia. So yeah, there's a lot to take in there from a localisation and time zone perspective.
Definitely. One of the things that I'm often thinking about as well is that certainly in Australia, we don't necessarily relate to some of the content that's quite Americanized. We speak in a different way from a business perspective.
Yeah.
And so we're often looking at American content and looking at how we can make it feel more appropriate and how we can make sure it's speaking to the local challenges that businesses here are seeing.
Yep. There's a lot of subtlety that goes into not just Australia and New Zealand, but more so it's amplified in some of those Asian countries and economies and business contexts. So there's a lot to consider there, and the directness of the American way of positioning certain concepts and certain offers needs to be tempered for those Asian cultures. So there's a lot of nuance in that space that we need to incorporate as a team for our marketing messages in particular.
Definitely. You see the difference in emails, in meetings, in every form of communication. It is quite a different communication style, isn't it?
Yep, need a lot of flexibility in that space. So yeah, it's definitely a consideration.
Okay, so One Little Seed has been working with Scaled Agile for around 3 years now. How would you describe where we sit within the organisation and what we do for you?
The biggest benefit to Scaled Agile that I see in working with One Little Seed is that One Little Seed's incorporated as part of the Scaled Agile marketing team. So that CMO as a service, certainly from an APAC perspective for Scaled Agile, is really critical in the way that it's delivered because it's seamless as an operation. So it feels like One Little Seed is part of the Scaled Agile team rather than being a separate company, and all of the motions that we have both at a strategic level and a tactical level from a marketing perspective, it's all completely integrated into the way that Scaled Agile goes to market in APAC. So that's what I appreciate most about working with One Little Seed.
In all the systems, I've got a Scaled Agile email address.
Email, Slack, Marketo, Salesforce, it just goes on and on. So, yeah.
Box.
That's right.
Safe Studio. There are so many. And we have access to the entirety of the Scaled Agile team. You know, we work with a lot of different people at head office to ensure that we understand what's happening from a global marketing perspective, where we can work in and where we can essentially improve the effectiveness of certain campaigns by localising. You know, maybe we'll take some of the emails and put some local statistics in there, or maybe we'll look at the report that goes alongside a campaign and look at how that is relevant within the local market.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the most critical things that's guided the success of the partnership is One Little Seed's flexibility to incorporate or to position themselves inside Scaled Agile's ways of working. So, you know, we practice SAFE internally, of course, and so you've been able to incorporate the way that you operate into the way that we operate SAFE at Scaled Agile. And so you're part of our quarterly planning cadence, for example. You have regular one-on-ones with the different people in the team across the region. You have input into our plans and how we need to factor the work that you need to do with us into our planning cycles. So that's been a really critical factor for the success of the partnership as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that having those strategic conversations to really delve into the specific needs of different markets is so critical, because there isn't a one size fits all. You know, you really do need to look at what's going on, the maturity of the market, the knowledge of the brand within that market, and what those local challenges are, what industries are most prevalent within each market.
Yeah, that's right. Every market across APAC is at a different stage of maturity. Some are absolute startup, embryonic, you might say. They're not even babies, let alone teenagers yet. So you've got to factor those things in, and they require a completely different go-to-market motion than, a more mature market in APAC like Australia, for example, that's, got a pretty good footprint when it comes to SAFE adoption. So yeah, there are different strategic motions there, and definitely different tactical motions that we need to have in play constantly. And it's that transparency and alignment that we've been able to build over the years that we've been engaged that really makes the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Gone off and done my SAFE certification. We just had one of our other colleagues, Christine, go the other day to do her SAFE certification.
Awesome.
So being able to speak the language is a big thing as well, because Scaled Agile does have its own set of terms and acronyms, as many businesses do. So being familiar with that structure and way of working is really important. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, getting on board with those practices, starts with education, because there are different, there's a different set of terminology, and there are different roles to traditional project management, for example, and agile ways of working, demand those new roles to be created, new terminology to be leveraged. It's, subtle shifts, but also there's a shift in mindset, and One Little Seed's brought that to the table from day one. So it's been great.
Definitely. And even though, because we do a lot of work in the IT channel, even though your business model is slightly different to that, you have a similar structure, don't you, to the channel, in terms of Scaled Agile being the vendor, if you like, in terms of the owner of the framework and the owner of that intellectual property.
Yep.
Did you want to talk through a little bit how then the structure works in terms of the partners and customers?
Yeah, for sure. So when a customer is looking at going SAFE, typically they'll get engaged with a Scaled Agile partner. And so we have an ecosystem of partners that operate within our program that's been developed over many years, and it's constantly iterating. And they take their training services, advisory services, consulting services to that customer to help them start that SAFE journey and be successful with it. So we're heavily reliant on our partners. It's not a channel play per se, but it's very similar. It's a services-based play. So it's highly profitable for the partner ecosystem, and we do a lot of joint go-to-market motions with the partners to help them reach more customers and help them be successful with the customers that they have already. So that's what it looks like.
Definitely. And I think that the way that Scaled Agile and the partner community have welcomed One Little Seed in and worked hand in hand in partnership. We're not just dealing with the Scaled Agile personnel, we're also working with various different local partners in the region to see how we can support them to do different initiatives, such as if there's an event or something like that is being rolled out, how can we work with you to make that a success and ensure that you're getting the most value out of it?
Yeah.
And it's being promoted via the Scaled Agile platforms, but also to make sure that you have very specific customized material that speaks to the discussion points from the event that you're able to then share following the event to continue that conversation and I guess move to that next stage of the discussion with the attendees.
Yeah, for sure. We run a lot of events with partners, from the one to few to the one to many. Sometimes it's 400 or 500 people at a Scaled Agile event that will run alongside a single partner or a group of partners that might get involved. So there's a lot of wrangling when it comes to the events piece. And then, of course, the most critical part of the success of an event is the follow-up activity after the event. And so having that follow-up process integrated so that we deliver opportunities to the Scaled Agile sales team and then working alongside that partner ecosystem to drive safe adoption in that particular market takes an awful lot of effort and an awful lot of systems integration and workflow integration. So again, that planning cadence becomes really, really important, and the integration of the One Little Seed team with, as you say, not just the Scaled Agile team, but the broader partner ecosystem becomes really important.
And it always has to be very timely in terms of the turnaround. You don't want to be going back to people in 3 weeks' time because they've forgotten about that event by that time. So,
for sure.
That ability to immediately get some feedback from the partner and the Scaled Agile personnel who've been on the ground and then turn that around. I feel as though we've developed a good process there.
Yep, definitely. It goes back to that notion that we were talking about earlier, which is the integration with the team and the integration with the company. So that CMO as a service keeps bubbling up to the surface when it comes to our partnership.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And in terms of just thinking about the 3 years working together, are there any particular standouts to you or highlights, any major wins that come to mind when you think about the partnership?
Yeah, so Scaled Agile runs its own SAFE summits in both the North America region and in the EMEA region in Europe. In APAC, we don't do that. We tend to run more localised events because APAC is such a geographically dispersed part of the world. So in the last 18 months, we ran a series of events that, as you know...
Oh, I know. I haven't forgotten them, Rob.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. That the team was really heavily involved in. And, in the last 3 years through the partnership, the business has more than doubled at Scaled Agile in APAC. And those events that we ran for that 18-month series, I think there were 6 of them across the region. Sydney, Singapore, Bangalore, China, Japan, regular events in Korea. It's been a really heavy but successful lift in terms of the partnership, and then the ongoing follow-up and really building an audience that's outside the SAFE customer base as it is today, and getting into that white space and helping our partners be successful in that white space. That's been fantastic.
Absolutely. And I think as far as I'm aware, those events were the first in-person large-scale Scaled Agile events we'd done in APAC. So, it was kind of breaking new ground, because in the US they have a large events team to support. Of course, we're running on more of a skeleton team here in APAC. And so it was a learning curve, but they were all very successfully received by the community. Everyone loved them.
Absolutely. I mean, in the US, we've been known to get 3,000 plus people to a SAFE summit there. Here, our events are, typically, 50 to 60 people up to 400-500 people. So it's a different scale, but it's equally as important as those US summits, which have a global footprint for us to reach those local markets in these geographically dispersed locations all across the APAC region. Language considerations, time zone considerations, cultural considerations, these are all important things that we've been able to tap into together. So that's probably been the biggest win with those run of events and the impact that they've had on the business locally.
Yeah, absolutely. You need people to feel that they're a priority as well for the business. We don't just expect you to travel to the US. If you would like to meet with some of the leading experts, we will come to you, and we are prioritising your part of the world.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. SAFE is different to a lot of other things that go on in the IT landscape. So because it's a way of working, it has a real impact on the way that people conduct their business and how they bring business and technology together. And so that community level impact is super important for Scaled Agile, and it's a real focus for us, as you know. So it's about connecting people with those experts locally, where they are, on their terms, and how they'd like to make a contribution and be part of that activity. So that community piece is really important to us, and it's it's something that we're going to continue to invest in the region. Yeah,
definitely. One of the just on what you were saying about the impact it has on the way the business works, I found it was really interesting speaking to the ASEAN team the other day and hearing about the first transformation in Pakistan.
Yep.
And they actually changed the layout of their office space and were knocking down concrete barriers within the office in order to make it more collaborative. And
crazy, right?
Yeah, it's a real whole of business thing, isn't it?
That's it. And you often see photos of a team of teams, 80, 90, 100 people, with their hands in the air at the end of PI planning, celebrating. They're all in fancy dress. It's really radical what this way of working does for people's working lives. So it makes a real impact. So it's cool to be part of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Is there anything else that comes to mind when you think about maybe how working with One Little C differs from working with what people might see as a traditional agency? Yeah,
it's really the culture of One Little Seed, that integration that culture affords a customer like us or a client like us. We're not dealing with an account manager. We're dealing with the person and the team behind them that will deliver the outcomes for us. So that's the real difference, is that we're hands-on working together, whether it be a strategic planning session once a quarter, or whether it's in the weeds, getting stuff done super fast at that tactical layer, that makes the real difference. So looking forward to kicking more goals.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Keep working on my Korean.
No pressure.
I think yours is probably going better than mine.
No, a couple of sojus probably help in that regard, but I can't speak to their, after hours activities.
That's
what goes on tour.
Stays on tour, exactly. So working for a global organisation, obviously we've been working with you for 3 years now as an external organisation. So I would assume that each year you need to be talking to head office about the budgetary spend and justifying our existence, if you like. How do you go about justifying what we're doing here, quantifying it, and how do we work with you to make that easier?
Yep, that's a good question. As the business grows, which it has been doing over the last 3 years, the budgetary consideration is, a contentious one, and you need to be able to demonstrate the outcomes that we're looking for as an APAC team, and that HQ is looking for more broadly. So it all comes down to results, and if the business is growing, it makes the demands for marketing budget a little bit easier. The market's tough right now, so we need to continue delivering on those outcomes. And there's also the contention of at what point does a growing business implement its own marketing folks, right? And for a growing business, that's you're kind of going to be pressing up against that from time to time.
Of course.
But if the current arrangement is delivering the outcomes that we all want, then there's no reason to change that at the risk of changing your budgetary profile, changing your headcount when you're delivering on the outcomes that everybody wants.
Absolutely. Well, and that's actually, it's interesting you bring that up. It's a common conversation we have with a lot of clients because we build such tight-knit relationships and, we are hopefully, for all our clients, delivering that growth and hitting those goals, meeting those outcomes. For us, we see if and when clients get to a point where they can justify having a person, a senior strategic person in-house, or indeed a team of people in-house, that's a win. Because if we can help you get to the point where that makes sense to have a larger in-house team, then we've done our job.
Yep.
You're happy, we're all happy. That's never going to be seen as a betrayal of the relationship or anything like that. It's a win for everyone all round. Yeah,
for sure. But the other thing we would press up against in that regard is that if we were to hire one marketing headcount in the region, it's not possible for that person to have the broad range of skill set that one little seed can bring to the table for somebody like Scaled Agile. Because there's so many different marketing disciplines that you as a team cover. One headcount is not going to be able to do that for us. So that's an extra justification to go back to the business for budget each year and keep the relationship bubbling along.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do the graphic design component, the web development component, the on-the-ground tactical bits and the strategy all in one.
Yep, spot on.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Rob. Really appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks again, Viv. Been great working with you for the last 3 years and brought up one little seed team. Absolutely. And looking forward to keeping on rocking.
Many good years to come.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thank you.